Ralphie was opening for me. We're driving to Tempe, and it was me, my buddy Walter was driving. I'm in the passenger seat, Ralphie's in the back seat. And it's like one of those January rains where it's just like, holy, like you're doing 30 and you can't see.
Yeah,
whoa.
like typhoon.
Crazy. And then the rain stops. And if you look to your left, you can see the snow-capped mountains. And I go, man, that's what God looks like. And my buddy Walter goes, it sure is, man. And then from the back seat, you hear Ralphie go, yeah, that's what God looks like. And then the rain comes again. There's a 18-wheeler. We're like, God. Then the rain stops. And Walter goes, yeah, man, you're right, man. Like, that's what God looks like, man. And I'm like, fine. From the back, you hear Ralphie go, that is what God looks like, man. And then it's pouring rain like a half hour later. And Ralphie goes, there goes God again. But it's still raining. It was an Entenmann's truck next to us. It's a big don't let him say.
Did you ever follow up with Matthew McConaughey after the Ralphie May incident? No. He never said anything? You never saw him?
Nah, that was just in the backyard.
Have you ever heard the story?
No, what's the story?
Oh, my God.
When Ralphie first moved to, a lot of people don't know, like, when you move to an old Hollywood neighborhood, you'll see a celebrity in that neighborhood. And you go, why is that person here? Well, because they lived in that neighborhood before they made it. And now they're going to visit their friends. In that neighborhood, it was the chick from The Wrestler, my cousin Vinny.
Oh, Marissa Tomei.
Marissa Tomei's sister lived on that block. So you would see her walk with her dogs all the time. And this is a shitty part of Hollywood. Guns N' Roses had a garage across the street. That's where they lived. So it was by the Guitar Center right there. And there's a big garage behind where Matthew McConaughey, where Marissa Tomei's sister lives. And that's where Matthew used to have his cars when he was broke. They're broken down garages. And he had like a Volkswagen, you know those two-door Volkswagens with the trunk in the front? He had one of those. And no, not a Beetle.
The Rabbit?
Like not the Rabbit, the square one, but the longer one. It doesn't matter. Anyway, he had one of those in his garage, and he would come back there and work on them. I didn't know this. I didn't even know there was garages back there. But Ralphie lived on Schrader. Back in that neighborhood was Josh Wolf on Vista, Ralphie was on Schrader, Nick DiPaolo and Mitch Hedberg were on Sierra Bonita, and Doug Stanhope was on Curson.
Wow.
This is a hell of a fucking neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we'd all play tennis at 3 o'clock down by Gorky Park, a Russian park on Fountain there. Bro, they used to sell nickel bags at the park back then. Every afternoon, we'd make Doug Stanhope would make fucking sun tea, and we'd all meet there at Gorky Park. That's what Mitch Hedberg wrote the joke about. I'll never be as good as my wall playing tennis. All that shit. I still remember coming to my house with Mitch smoking dope and him telling me about thinking of moving to New York. Wow. I don't know if it's a good move, and me going, bro, there's nobody in New York like you. I don't belong in New York. There's 20 of me's there. But there ain't nobody like you in New York. And he got to New York and he blew up like a motherfucker.
Wow.
That was a hell of a fucking neighborhood.
So wait, what happened with the Matthew McConaughey?
So Matthew McConaughey was one of the celebrities in that neighborhood. And one day I'm sitting upstairs with Ralphie and he's like, you see this motherfucker out here? I'm like, who is it? He's like, Matthew McConaughey. Ralphie had a screen on his window. You could see out, but you couldn't see in. And Ralphie would sit there in the afternoons and go, Matthew McConaughey, you suck. No. Suck. For 15, 20 minutes. And after a while, Matthew McConaughey would throw his wrench down and go, who the fuck is saying that up there? Fuck you. You got the balls to say it. Matthew McConaughey, you suck. Fuck you. And then the next day again. And then he would start with Matthew McConaughey, you owe me $750 for the wedding singer, whatever that fuck is. Fuck you, how many movies have you done? But he couldn't see us, but we could see him. And it was like a torture chamber for like 3 months. Every time he went back there, Matthew McConaughey, I'm not listening to you motherfuckers today. Leave me the fuck alone. Every day we had a war with him. Ralphie had a war with him.
Hey, you've never connected with McConaughey about this?
No, until one day I went to Ralphie's and McConaughey was sitting on his...
No.
Ralphie went because McConaughey threatened him. How about I come up there and beat you up? Ralphie's like, Matthew McConaughey, you suck. It was like a broken record constantly. Matthew McConaughey, you suck.
Oh, fuck. Ralphie's a Texas boy, too.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's Houston or something, right?
So then they became
okay.
friends.
Yeah.
I go up there one day, he's on the couch sitting there smoking bongs. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wait, they became homies?
They became like for that day. Then Ralphie hit and he moved, and I don't know what happened to their relationship.
Wow.
One of my finest moments in podcasting, believe it or not, had nothing to do with me. I get a call one night that we're going to go over to Bert Kreis's house. Bert calls me to his house. He invites me over. He's very gracious. And he goes, come over at a certain time. I'd like for you to do a podcast. At the time, I thought Bert was Johnny Professional. I get over there 20 minutes too early. He invites me into his man cave. He offers me something. We sit there. He gave me that weed that you like, the sativa from Betsy Crocker, whatever the fucking name is.
Phil Stiller?
You even bought a joint. You were very courteous. And we sat there and waited for Ralphie May. We got a call about 8:15 saying that Ralphie was coming up over the hill.
I remember you going, Bert Kreischer. He's not coming over there.
Anyway, listen to me. It's 9 o'clock, and I go, listen, call him again and ask him where he is. So now he calls again. You call him, you call him, you call him. I go, Bert, I think that's a reality that we might as well stop this. And all of a sudden the phone rings, and Ralphie May's like, I'm stuck on Laurel Canyon. I'm just pulling up. I'm by a gas station. There's a
Don't give him the whole address.
a pie place across the street. No, I'm talking about Laurel Canyon.
Yeah.
And what he's close to. And Bert directs him to where he goes. But anyway, I got there at 7:45. The podcast was supposed to start at 8. It's 10 to fucking 10. So Ralphie comes in smoking a vapor pen. I'm sitting there with Bert. We're having a blast. It's a great podcast. We go back and forth. Finally, it's 12:30 at night. The girls are sleeping. It's time to go. We hug. We walk out. I follow Bert out. Right? I follow Bert out. I don't know nothing. I can't see at night, so I'm going to follow the fucking leader. It's his house. But all of a sudden, I assume Ralphie's behind me, and I just hear, ba-ba-ba-ba. And we both turn around in shock, and there's Ralphie laying in your daughter's dollhouse. He falls. What was it? Please, Bert.
It was beach chairs. It was beach chairs. So like the kind that you can fold up and put into a sleeve and then open up and then turn into a chair. And he fell on top of them. And literally, like he wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurt at all.
He fucked them up. All you heard was like, you thought there was 40 kung fu masters in the room karate chopping wood. You heard each piece of wood go down.
It looked like someone just destroyed a tent.
Oh my God.
They were all flat.
Oh my God.
And he was like, "Oh, player, what was that?" I was like, and by the way, they were cheap as shit. They weren't like super expensive.
That's why he went right through them.
Yeah, he went right through them. They were the fucking cheapest ones you could get. And he's like, "Player, let me give you $100 for them." I was like, "Ralphie, they cost $5." Dude, I feel guilty now. I mean, I know that had nothing to do with this, but me and him were on a cruise ship right before he passed, like a few months before he passed.
Does he sleep in the middle of a ship? He has to sleep in the middle of a cruise ship. At 600 pounds or 500 pounds? You couldn't sleep on the side of the cruise ship, could you?
He was sleeping a lot that trip. He wasn't getting up and doing much. And we went to his room once a day, and we go in there and smoke a joint in his room, and
what, he's just laying in bed the whole time?
he was laying in bed a lot. He'd get up and move around. I'm definitely not speaking ill of the dead, but anyone who was on that ship would agree. He'd move around like probably 2 out of the 7 days we were there. He'd get up and do stuff. Not often was he moving around.
And when you say like, because I've never been around anybody that has had that much of an impairment that wasn't like, I had a friend that didn't have any legs and he didn't do that much. And then, I had another lady that I think was just lazy when I was growing up, you know, and she also was taking care of a kid, a black child.
Yeah.
And both her and her husband were white, and they were pretending like it was their child to everybody, even though the lady that swept at his school bus was black, Miss Tilly.
Really?
And it was obviously her child. And we'd go over there, and it was the weirdest thing. You'd be like, "This is our son Boogie," and it would be like, and dude, they had him dressed up like a little cowboy and shit, like to make him just seem even whiter. Dude, no joke. I remember this little Boogie. He'd have on these red boots, and he would do this little fucking dance by the door when you went in. And it was like, what? Like, even I know that you can't get a black kid out of two white people, no matter how hard you try.
Ever had a weed edible. I thought I was never gonna touch weed ever again. I was on tour with Ralphie May, and we were doing his tour bus up and down the West Coast.
Yeah.
And had never had weed before, and he would do it all day, every day. So I was like, well, a little bit wouldn't hurt me. And he was taking Chiba chews, fucking heavy edibles.
That's an edible.
Yes. So he was like, just take one of these. Took one. We're in like Sacramento, I think, and 45 minutes goes by. My entire body is fucking numb.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You okay, Maddie?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm fucking freaking out." And I was like, "How much was that?" It was like 100 milligrams. I know now you only need 10 to like feel good.
You only need 5 if we're gonna be real.
But he was doing like 4 or 5 of them at a time. Granted, his size, you know,
600 pounds.
Yeah.
So wait, get me from Atlanta to Ralphie.
So oddly enough,
don't leave any steps out, but get me from Atlanta to Ralphie.
Oddly enough, Ralphie was before Atlanta. Ralphie was the first person I was ever supposed to do a guest spot for at Hilarities in Cleveland. I had been doing stand up for like 4 months, and this was a time when Twitter was like
fucking great club. Great club.
Love that club. I ended up playing.
Nick is the fucking best.
The coolest
That is one
guy.
of the greatest clubs in all of this country.
The crowds are always good. I don't think I've ever had a bad show at Hilarities.
I don't know what you're doing if you're in Cleveland right now. I don't care who's performing there this weekend. Go see a show at Hilarities. Whoever's there is going to be amazing, and you'll have a great experience.
Food's fantastic.
Yep.
The strip there is great to do stuff before and after.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely go check it out. Yeah. I was in stand-up for like 4 or 5 months, and this is when Twitter was like pretty new. Like everyone, you could get a hold of anybody. So I would just I tweeted to Ralphie, and I was like, "Hey, I see you're going to be in Cleveland on this date or whatever. Can I do a guest spot for you? I heard that's like the thing to do."
Yeah.
And I hadn't done a guest spot for anybody yet. And he was like, "Yeah, sure, come through." But I was so young. I think I was still 15 at the time. And my mom was obviously new to it as well. And she was the one who was going to take me up there. And I remember it was like 2 months out. And over the course of like the following month, she just kept making me ask him questions. Like, what time do I need to be there? Do my parents need to get tickets? Where are they going to be sitting? Like, I was just bombarding him with questions. And he was like, "Hey, man, I think it's a bit too much. Maybe we try this another time down the road." I was fucking devastated. I ran to my room, slammed my door. I was like, "You ruined it for me. Ralphie May hates me."
Yeah.
Fast forward to maybe a year goes by. I'm 16. He's doing a theater in Youngstown, Ohio. My grandparents live up there. So I was like, "Hey, can we try it this time?" Never performed at a theater before. I get there. He pulls up in the bus. My mom's there with me. And theater, I think, held like 750, something like that. Smaller theater, but theater nonetheless. And before I go on stage, he hands me a $100 bill. And I was like, "Oh, no. Like, I don't want to pay it. I'm just happy
He's
to
like,
meet
"No, go
you."
get me Coke."
Yeah. Like, that's going to make him skinny.
As soon as I said Coke, I was like, why would I say Coke? I should have said chicken tenders. Run up to McDonald's, and I don't want a penny of this
quick.
back.
I'll be off in 2 hours. Be back with the sauce.
I want to take this to Taco Bell and tell them to fucking surprise me.
Hands me a $100 bill. I'm like, "No, I'm like just so thankful for the spot and to meet you, whatever." And he goes, "No, Sam Kinison gave me a $100 bill for my first guest spot ever. So I wanted to return the favor. I want to make sure you do the same thing when you're older in a position to do the same for somebody else."
Yo, let's talk about a real issue at hand. Trash piling up, it's time to take the stand. From plastic bottles to styrofoam cups, our planet's drowning, it's time to wake up. Garbage trucks roll, streets lined with waste, but where does it go? It's not a race to the landfill, a mountain of despair. But we can change course, show that we care. Trash talk, it's more than just words. It's about actions, the change we deserve. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the plan for a cleaner, greener earth. Let's take a stand. Trash talk, it's more than just words. It's about actions, the change we deserve. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the plan for a cleaner, greener earth. Let's take a stand. Single-use plastics, they gotta go. From straws to bags, it's time to say no. Bring your own cup, your own tote bag. Small steps add up, let's not lag. Sorting all waste is not that tough. Recycling centers, that's where it's rough. Separate paper, glass, and cans. Give them a new life, that's the plan. Trash talk, it's more than just words. It's about actions, the change we deserve. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the plan for a cleaner, greener earth. Let's take a stand. But it's not just about the stuff we toss. It's about the mindset, there's no loss. Composting food waste, it's a win. Turning scraps to soil, let's begin. Educate the masses, from young to old. The future's at stake, let the story unfold. For the sake of our planet, our home sweet home. Let's clean up our acts, together we roam. Trash talk, it's more than just words. It's about actions, the change we deserve. Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the plan for a cleaner, greener earth. Let's take a stand.
Sadly, when you do that to someone, they're gonna go, "Who the fuck's Sam Kinison?"
Yeah, exactly. Even I had to Google, if I'm being honest. I had to Google. I was like, oh yeah, he's the best.
Oh, I love Sam Kinison.
He's the funniest and such a nice guy. Calm. I love his calm demeanor. So go off stage, do like 7 minutes. It was so much fun. He fucking crushes, obviously. And then I think like 6 months later, no, maybe closer to a year later, I'm 17. I'm planning on moving out to LA. He's at some, I forget what other theater he was doing in Ohio, but he let me open for him again. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna move out to LA. And he was like, don't do that. He was like, don't go to LA until like they're asking for you. And I didn't wait. I did move out there, and then I booked Wild 'N Out like 6 months after moving there. And when I first moved to LA and I was like, couch surfing, he used to take me to restaurants for lunch, and he'd make me order like 6 meals. And he was like, eat one now, the rest you can take home with you. So he would like buy me food for the week, basically.
I wish he wasn't dead, because I have so many. Like I love it. Rob is like, in my visual, he's like, hey, we're both gonna order 6 meals. So we have
yours is for later.
Yeah, you save yours for later, and that's what I'm gonna tell her I'm doing with mine. Okay, just so it doesn't look weird.
He was the dude.
He's like, and then he's like, order 6 meals and save them later. And he's like, oh, what do we got over here? All right.
By the time we're done, I have like 3 meals left.
Yeah. And he ate the
like,
one that I ordered for myself.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was the nicest. When I was still in Ohio, around Christmas time, he used to let me drive down to Zany's in Nashville, because he had a Nashville spot as well. Yeah. And he would always do shows there around Christmas time. He would let me drive down, open for him, get like the $100 from the club or whatever. Yeah. And then he would tip me like an extra $500-600 so I could like buy my family Christmas presents and stuff like that. Just the nicest fucking guy, man.
He was the nicest guy.